Hello to all. Here today in the Tier 8 German premium aircraft carrier, the Graf Zeppelin, in a bit of a follow-up to my introductory to my first impressions series on the Graf Zeppelin. We're on the map Trap Mode Domination, and we are fortunate enough to be top tier. Triple duty match, so just starting out we will, in this case, probably just scout with rocket planes. We're top tier, so these fragile ME-155s for once might not disintegrate in the sky just from being looked at. So hopefully we'll be able to have a bit of impact on destroyers early on in the match. Now the Graf Zeppelin, as I iterated last time, is an interesting carrier, shall we say. It has some tools with which to defend itself. But overall, it is somewhat lackluster as a carrier. It has the trope, I guess you could say, of having super fast planes, but only for her dive bombers and torpedo bombers. Her rocket planes, sadly, are a much more mediocre platform. Flying briefly through the Bismarck flak. And I'm doing my initial scouting looking for the destroyers. Can't see this guy over here, but he's probably right behind this rock, so we will duck through, take a gander. There's an Amalfi and a Nice now to come back to afterward. And a Warspite. Some people shelling the water. Alright, I really don't believe that there's no duty here. One of you is here. It's just a matter of which one. Do lose a plane, sadly. And finally we do find the Mahan. He gives up his location, turns on his AA for whatever reason. You can see here that vertical rocket aiming ellipse. Accelerating here in order to get him into the ellipse properly. 2 rockets fly out and away from the AA cluster again. Looks like this is going to be our final attack, based on the fragile health of my aircraft. Pretty bad ellipse for the last strike. Lonely Zara and Destroyer and North Carolina Bismarck, okay. Gonna move my hull down, counting torpedoes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 says to me Z23. My Von Klin being pushed out of the cap by Saipan. HEDBs. Oh, turns out the Gallant has quads too. The ship's not very popular, so unfortunately, not too familiar with her characteristics. Can I get a torpedo to land onto the nose? Who knows? Who cares? I'm really just here for the Zara, although it turns out there's a New Mexico here as well. But his AA is pretty much next to non-existent, so I'm gonna ignore him. Pop my heel here at this point. Try to hit the Zara. Gonna bounce off the wall. Zara's pretty fast, but I do manage to skim him with 2 torpedoes, broke a rudder. He's smoking. Obviously annoying, but he's moving at full speed, so I can just approximate his path. I'll just aim right in front of the smoke here and relaunch. This time we're gonna go after that New Mexico. As I mentioned, he's a tier 6, so his AA doesn't really matter to me. In the meantime, my Lightning and allies have dispatched the Gallant. Saipan attacking my Bismarck. I prefer he not do that. New Mexico is guarded by a fighter anyway. I'm gonna swing out into the center of B cap, do some scouting, maybe spot the duty, but more importantly, Gonna swing onto the side of the North Carolina. Now the North Carolina does have fairly good AA. However, her torpedo bulge, on the other hand, is rather lackluster. Oh, Amalfi in the middle of my cap. It's not very nice. He does spot that I'm potentially making a run for him, so I have 6 seconds until that fighter arms. Okay, fighter locks. But remember, I'm extremely fast. Dive through, hit the warspite. Two torpedoes onto the warspite. Misses otherwise. No hits on the Amalfi. My fighter over the saipan, or for the saipan, guarding the Bismarck fades. Launching my armor-piercing dive bombers. Guess I'll drop a fighter just for just to intercept what's left of the saipan strike, but he immediately F's out after, so my efforts appear to be in vain. Double ricochet, okay. One penetration. As you can see, the dive bombers continue to be inconsistent at best. So honestly, not a fan. The Bismarck launched his fighter recently, but it's getting trimmed off by my Bismarck's local AA. New Mexico is getting finished off by my allies. Fighter moves out of range. Bring myself up to full speed here. Launch early, angle's not great. Do time out the fighter, looks like. Accidentally drop a fighter. Only hit one torpedo due to the awkward launch angle. Gliding over into the cap, outside of Bismarck AA range. Someone talking nonsense. Looks like I might hit one torpedo here if I'm lucky. He does dodge, however. The slow Graf Zeppelin torpedoes. Again, kind of showing off why this carrier is a tad unreliable. Not going to get a great launch angle here, but if I want to contribute to this kill as he's healing, then I'm just going to have to go for it. Looks like he's trying to make a full turn. So I'll just put some torps in his way. Lonely Zara up there. Fish in the water now, but I think he's just going to continue gliding straight forward. Just kidding. He did eventually eat that torpedo left in the water for him. Both teams at this point have attritioned down to having taken significant losses. My Vanklin, on the other hand, is able to, fortunately, kill off some of the, or take the cap rather. Zara again smokes. Defensive fire from the Helena here. Swoop out and away from the North Carolina, who has fairly good AA. He takes one torpedo on the stern as I glide out. Matching the turn here. Circling to see if I can get a good angle. And I'll wait out the defensive fire. It's launching a fighter, but I only have 4 planes anyway. Not going to be a perfect drop angle. Missed him completely. Unfortunate. And a relaunch of the APDPs. Just to cycle some squadrons through. Spot the Helena again. However, we have the APDBs, remember, so this is going to be a tad difficult, probably. To score that citadel I was looking for, however, so that's fine. Gonna continue on to the Knives now. A bit more consistent citadels than the North Carolina, so that's my preferred target. Hull-wise, gonna move my hull up toward the cap. I want to keep up with my Fuso and Knives now anyway, in order to be a mobile AA platform. Ricochet on the Knives now, annoyingly enough. I'm around for another pass. This time I sling a bomb in for a full pen. I'm gonna zoom across the map. Still have one engine boost cooling consumable left, so let us defend ourselves. Dropping that guy a fighter, although I suspect the Siphon's going to continue to attack this cluster. North Carolina is going to make for a good target on the way. Just so long as I start my attack outside of his AA range. Only one torpedo hit, sadly, thanks to the awkward angle that I decided to launch at. Miss on the Knives now. Timed it as such in order to miss everything. He has 6 kilometer AA range, so I'm going to zoom all the way out. Maintain a visual. Take my time. Use my high cruising speed in order to catch him inside of the turn. Now matching the turn is the most annoying strategy. It's much better to go against the turn and catch him on the side. So why don't I do that instead of attempting to continually claw against his rate of turn. Matching him now, his rudder should be fairly locked up because he's a battleship, of course. And I swoop back in on the other side of the turn. Let it lock in. Apparently I missed mine, but I turned the Knives now back into the Fubuki torpedoes, so there's that. I expect this guy to accelerate. Which indeed he does. finally scoring us a perfect hit. You can see there, not too much in the ways of torpedo bulge mitigation. Gonna finish off this knives now first before I move on to the saipan. Knives now is fairly fast, remember? So gonna lead as much as I can. Let's see if I let enough. 1, 2, and the knives now on my team does finish him off. Attacking the saipan now, which means I'm gonna be punching through a self-defense fighter, so I'm gonna ditch twice. Let's do a natural slingshot here. Now saipan has no long-range AA, remember? Only has a mid-range aura. Sling a bomb into a citadel, and perfectly enough we have another 4 planes ready on deck. He burned through the fighters very quickly, so as a result, his self-defense fighter is not yet ready again, as you can see. Skimming bomb attacks, unfortunately. Not gonna bother with a fighter for the Fubuki, even though it was requested. Just gonna go for the kill. Using my great speed to cross the map. I'm gonna use half my boost. Full squadron this time, but his fighter consumables probably back up. Looks like the Fubuki has pretty good anticipation of his course, so he's probably gonna kill him here. Fubuki torps do hurt quite a bit. Fubuki doesn't quite manage to get the kill, but Knives now cleans it up with the shells. As you can see here, not too much special to talk about. Just a very straightforward top tier game. 73,000 damage, 13 torpedo hits, 8 bomb hits, sadly only 2 citadels, 2 incaps, 1 actual kill, 2 floodings, and some rocket hits. Team score wise, in the middle, I'm a top tier ship, but I mostly just bullied bottom tier vessels. Heading off into our second match, we are middle tier in a double carrier game, so this should be very, very chaotic. We got double Graf Zeppelin versus Graf Zeppelin and Lexington. Aircraft rating of 61. Alright. Anyhow, threat-wise, Iowa, Jean Bar, both annoying. North Carolina, still annoying. Buffalo, annoying. Everything else insignificant, 3 DDs per side, which means the rocket planes are worth launching, if only at the beginning of the match. Someone complaining about premium carriers. Even though he's did with a silver carrier, which is probably quite a bit stronger. Player base being the player base, of course. Is this guy about to type pay to win in response to the Graf Zeppelin? Oh dear. Well, anyhow. Chat aside, we do find the Mahan, who I proceed to dump 5 rockets into in spite of having a horrific reticle. So, this guy should be salty. I would be too, Mr. Salty Sea Dude. I mean, I found you first, and then the other Graf Zeppelin's dumping rockets into you, and then I'm gonna dump rockets into you yet again. Trying for a follow-up fire on top of my first strike, of course. And he's dumping rockets into him. I'm sure this guy's having fun. I can feel the fun oozing from him. This time, a nice lineup. There's my follow-up fire. And at this point, he's so low, he's worth going after even with just 1 rocket. And my allied Graf Zeppelin finishes him off. Brindisi over there. And Iowa, so that's not something I want to necessarily go after. Brindisi, yes, Iowa, no. Fighter plane, definitely not. So let's look for something a little lower on the AA scale. Colorado will do nicely. Gonna get myself out of this corner. Glide out of the AA. Colorado shows me that he has a spotter plane. My maneuvering does mean that I don't have a great angle on him, however. Destroyer does get into C after we have dispatched the first one. But for now, I'm gonna continue on with the squadron I launched. Still have a full boost bar here. Remember, I'm operating quite close to the Lexington, so do have to work with a little bit of care. Colorado's very slow. My Mahan does get dispatched, plunging through a fighter screen. So I'm gonna just use the boost bar to get out of that. 2 hits onto the Colorado. 5 planes left. And let's make a strike onto the Iowa, although he seems to have keyed into the fact that he's under attack. My allied Graf Zeppelin also deciding that perhaps it's time to move. Looks like the destroyer that took the cap insta did smoke. I lose yet another destroyer, putting us down to 1 destroyer. But depending on which destroyer it is, we never got a glimpse of it, although I do know it's a Z-39 based on that. His smoke's gonna fade soon. It's a German smoke, so German smokes don't last that long. Match is not going great for us right now, however. Spotted somewhere. He's just still sitting here. Z-39 has next to no AA, especially versus a tier 8 carrier like me. Not a great first strike angle, but 2 rockets still do inflict 3,000 damage. The real problem is though, even if we kill him, there's nothing to retake the cap for us. My Massachusetts down at C is dead as well, so we got a tough road ahead of us. 5,000 damage. Lose another fragile rocket plane on the way over. Just brush slightly against the Brindisi AA, which is enough to take down my very frail Messerschmitts. Can't worry about that right now, although I don't really want to hit that buffalo, so I'm gonna stop my own personal progress up here. Dropping a fighter screen over the other cluster. My allied carrier has already dropped a fighter over the other one. so not much I can do there for him. Hunting for the Brindisi. Now Brindisi has quite excellent rudder shift and turning circles, so he will more than likely dodge the first set, as you can see. Even though I said he's a pretty mediocre tier 9 in terms of AA, he does, for the most part, do enough damage to just quickly trim down aircraft. He's launching his own personal fighters, so I'm going to respond by ditching a set into the water, so that no matter what, he can't intercept any of these anyway. We do find the Z-39, gonna continue onto the Brindisi's predicted path of travel. Drop into the water. And the Z-39 is going for my last remaining caps, so we gotta obviously stop that. 2 hits onto the Brindisi. Relaunch my Messerschmitts. He's trying to smoke himself into the cap. Can't have that, really. Blind firing. Lexington fighters do lock me. Probably worth ditching a little bit. We do preserve the last 2 planes in the initial attack run, but our only cap is being contested. My allies continue to hover around above the cap, being absolutely fucking worthless. Can't even kill one North Carolina inside of the cap. So that's obviously pretty annoying to me. Not very pleased with their choice of performance. They finally dispatch the North Carolina, and my Graf Zeppelin does manage to hit a torpedo onto the Z-39, and so as a result he will die. He does also spot the Jervis on the way, although I have fairly inadequate munitions for this task. Going to attempt to hit the Brindisi, but as you saw, because I was looking away, my reticle is not exactly what I would call great for the job. Do hit 1 torpedo on his nose though, as my battleships also slam him quite hard. There's a cyclone kicking in, so at this point I'm going to turn my carrier hull for the initial sea cap that we have now lost. Hit the Brindisi one more time. I like Graf Zeppelin going after him with some AP bombers. Now I just have to hit some overpens onto him. The Sky Cancer never ends, and I do get the penetration I'm looking for. Jervis spotted within close range of a Jean Bar. At this point, I think I'm actually going to go into this cap first. Hunting that Jervis. He's beside an Iowa and inside a fighter bubble, but he's definitely worth hunting. He gets eliminated, so definitely worth recalling. Iowa inside multiple fighter bubbles. Finally, my team has decided that pushing is something they understand how to do. My allied Graf Zeppelin is plunging through double fighter screens, so this is going to be painful for his fighter bomber or torpedo bomber squadron. Sending my APDBs. Iowa has brought his personal fighter since he is divved with a Lexington. Gonna hit him and then F out. I too am not that interested in eating AA. providing cover, finding the angle onto the Iowa, and we'll make a run. Popping my heal immediately, probably a little bit early. I was quite fast, remember, so take an appropriate lead. I was going to plunge all the way through, but looks like he does die to my allied AA. Neptune engaging enemy Jean Bar at close range. Don't know how I feel about that one. Launch early. My fighter ship tag here. One hit onto the Jean Bar. Fighter fails to tag. We're still contesting, but they're up 400 points. I'm gonna try and work on those ships on the corner. Hopefully the Neptune does the YOLO properly, if he is in fact YOLOing. Making a charge through onto the Jean Bar. I'm basically beside all that AA. He's beached, however, so I'm going to launch from max range. Reserve's taking a bit of a beating. We are contesting 2 out of 3 caps by now. I'm going to adjust my course. Let's head straight over now since we've taken the middle cap. Was going to consider pre-dropping. Oh, my torps do connect at maximum range of the Jean Bar. I'm going to actually go for this Colorado with my newfound information. Bring myself back up to full speed. Drop the bombs onto the now dead Colorado. I'm continuing to move further from the battlefield, but we need that cap back, so hopefully these two will recontest A. I can contest C, and we can work something out. Enemy is now quite clustered. We are both headed towards C. Making a plunge onto the Jean Bar, which I assume to be reversing in this situation, which he is. 3 of my planes survive. Nothing really to launch, so rocket planes, I guess. We kill the Jean Bar, thankfully. But we still do need to contest the cap. I'm gonna protect my KSC Colorado here as best I can with my fighters. Still have 2 on my squadron here. Looks like they're turning their efforts to the Knives now, which is rushing. Unfortunately, he gets detonated, so much for that one. Drop a fighter, since obviously he's going after that guy. Looks like torpedo bombers are the only squad complement I have left. Full HP Nelson. Not a great reticle here, but he's a fairly large target, so I do land a fair number of my rockets. For some reason, he's turned his AA off. My carrier seems not to understand what defending yourself means. That's quite fine. Gonna dodge out of that enemy AA. I am gonna get interrupted by the cap, but at this point we're going for kills rather than anything else. Nelson's obviously an easy target. Both myself and the other Graf Zeppelin are together now. There's 4 minutes for us to tick caps. So it would help if we just eliminate the Nelson first. myself and the Graf Zeppelin here together. So now we have 2 secondary spec carriers versus the one. I am actually gonna path towards him after. Not because of the memes or anything. Get interrupted again by rocket attack craft and dive bombers. That's fine, there's 2 of us. As long as I sit in the cap, we'll be fine. I'm gonna start on my way with my single attack plane. Let's see if our combined AA can get something done. Use the high speed to penetrate through the AA screen of this Graf Zeppelin. Gonna hard stop here. We should both be engaging each other with secondaries, I guess. Gonna turn my ship a bit more broadside in order to get a better angle. I want my reticle to fully encompass that Graf Zeppelin so I can get all 8 hits. I'm taking quite a bit of fire, however. All I can launch here is my torpedo bombers, but apparently I wasn't quite fast enough. I did get my launch off on the previous one though, so I'll get at least a hit off. My allied Graf Zeppelin is hitting the wrong ship, which is annoying, but it's fine. He's up some HP now. You can see here the Graf Zeppelin's doing an amusing secondary duel. Unfortunately, the game times out. And even though we were working on things, we were down points when the game ended, so I assume we lost. Defeat. Oh wait, it's a victory. How? Did we get to 1,000 points mysteriously? How did we win? All warships. Okay, so he just died. I just didn't see it because of the lag. My allied Graf Zeppelin seemed to have a better game than me. He killed a lot more planes. I was the one who received the focus fire, so unfortunately that happened. But you did get to show off some of the secondaries. My Graf Zeppelin's only partially secondary spec, still missing AFT for now. Working on getting the experience to have it, so I got engaged at range. Nevertheless, in that carrier-on-carrier combat, we did seem to deal some amount of damage. Anyhow, that was an interesting match, to say the least. We got to get some very early carrier rework-esque gameplay. At the end, with the carrier brawl, I unfortunately got focused down, so I'll have to settle for my confed. My allied carrier did a pretty good job here, as you can see. He scored quite a few rewards. And he was actually doing the right things throughout the match, so fair enough, sir. I'll give you your compliment. But anyhow, as you could see there, the Graf Zeppelin remains stubbornly unreliable, in my humble opinion. So, she's alright, but still has many flaws. The APDBs in particular are frustrating to work with. And I'm still struggling to put up numbers with her, but maybe as time goes on, I will continue to improve. But that was a fun game to end off on, so that'll be all for now. Hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you all later. Cheers.